1 minute to go. Let me know, guys, if you can hear me. Awesome. I can see you guys can hear me. That's good. All right, we're going live in 20 seconds, guys. Good to see so many regulars here. Thanks for joining us at this new time, guys. So if you're just joining us, hang on. We start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. Hey everyone, how are you doing? I'm glad you could join us today at Live from Lockdown. And yep, if you guys didn't know, we are celebrating 21 years of photoshopCAFE. Can you believe that? photoshopCAFE is now an adult. So you think it's been crazy now that photoshopCAFE is old enough to drink? Can you guys imagine what's going to happen? All right, so good to see lots of you joining us here for our live stream. I know today we are doing it a little bit early. It's 10 a.m. Normally we do it at 1 p.m. Pacific, and every week after, next week it'll be 1 p.m. and every other week it'll be 1. But the reason we're doing it at 10 is because I have a live stream with Adobe in 2 hours. I'm going to be talking about drones. If you guys want to check that out, Bruce will post the link in there for you guys so you can check that out at noon Pacific time. And so good to see you guys. Lots of you are there. I see a lot of regulars. Let me see. Yeah, Tracy, Klaus. Aldrin. Good to see you, Aldrin. Good friend of mine, Flight Path. Check him out. Does some great drone stuff there on YouTube. Orcapes, good to see you. We see Susan, Simon, Photomaker, John, Hannah, Rael, glad to see you there. Lots and lots of Sandy Carney. And of course, we've got our moderator in the house, Bruce. The Bruce is loose, so get your drink orders in now and your meal orders, and hopefully we'll get those to you before this ends. So how many of you are able to join us this week because we're doing 10 a.m. instead of 1? Now, I'm not going to ask who's not able to join us at 10 because they're not here. Okay, that was a little obvious. So it's good to see you guys. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about presets inside of Photoshop. Now, I thought this would be a really good time to do this since we launched the Vault yesterday officially. And if any of you guys don't have the Vault, Bruce, please drop the link in there. I'm sure you guys have all downloaded it by now, but photoshopcafe.com/vault is where I've given you guys just a huge bag of goodies, presets, actions, all kinds of things, brushes, and cheat sheets, ebooks, the whole deal, and it's all free. So how many of you got that? I'm sure a lot of you. You're welcome, Tracy. I'm sure a lot of you guys already got it. So I figured it would be a good time to talk about presets so we can, address maybe some of the challenges you guys are having. How do you install these? How do you back them up? How do you save them? Because one of the big things that I just keep finding all the time is Adobe does an update, which they do about 4 times a year. They do a big update around about the time of Adobe Max, and then they do another couple of updates at different times. So it's usually 2 bigger ones and a couple of smaller ones. But I always get messages the day after the update, I lost my actions, can you help me find them? What happened to my presets? They're gone. So I'm going to address all of that today and get your questions ready. We're definitely going to look at that as well. So the first thing is, how do you get them in here? Well, let me just go directly to the folder. Let me just show you. I'm going to open up the Vault folder just for fun here. just because, it's a good place to show you guys some presets. So a lot of these presets can be installed very, very easily into Photoshop, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this. Things like brushes. If you want to put brushes into Photoshop, all you need to do is just double click them and that will load them into the brushes panel. Same thing with actions. In fact, a lot of the presets you're going to be able to just simply double click them to get them into Photoshop. Super easy. Now, what I've done though is to make it easy to manage these, I've created a workspace. So if you guys are familiar with the workspaces, this is my regular one, column minimum. Let me reset that. And a lot of the time I just work with this. I have layers, channels, paths, and a properties panel. And then I have this, the libraries, but just tucked away. And because pretty much everything else can be done with keyboard shortcuts and tricks and stuff like that, so you don't need the other panels open most of the time. Now, if you want to manage a lot of your presets, they used to be in the preset manager. And if you go to the preset, you'll go under Edit Presets and look at the preset manager. Now, if you go here, something's happened. You see contours and tools. Pretty much the two things that no one ever uses. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them. They're useful, but how many of you use contours or even knew you could create custom contours? Or better than, how many of you even know what contours do? What they do is they give shape, when you add bevels and things like that, and layer styles, and essentially that's what they do. So what happened to the rest of the presets? The other one is tool presets. These can be useful, particularly for, making things like arrowheads and stuff like that on your brushes, just using the line tool. There we go. I can put an arrowhead on there, and you're just essentially saving those tool settings. But these are the only things that are in the preset manager now. My guess is this is going to go away soon. I wonder why it's even still here. And for good or bad, because I did kind of like being able to manage everything from one place, but now what Adobe's done is put a lot of these within panels. In the last couple of builds in Photoshop, starting with the brushes panel, they added this panel where we could put them into groups and start to do more things with brushes. And in fact, you can access that just by hitting the brush tool and then clicking up there, brush settings, and then open there's our brushes panel with all, custom brushes and all that kind of stuff. That's the one I just loaded now. That's the smoke brush. I double clicked and there it is, ready to go. And we'll talk about these in a little bit more detail in a minute. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, but what about everything else? Then they added things like the gradient panel and other kinds of panels and things like that. If we look in the gradients, now it's a panel. Now, what happens sometimes is you gotta understand there's a difference between working in these panels and working with the properties. If I create a gradient, let me just drop a gradient on here. We have a gradient. Now, if you click on that gradient, what it does is it opens it here in the properties inspector, and maybe you can do some different things with that gradient or whatever it is we're working with. And the properties panel, or let me show you another example. If we go here and then I load up something like, let's do the textures, which are actually called patterns. I think it's about time they change this from patterns to textures because most people use these. Let's drop that on there. There's a pattern. And then you click on it and you go into the properties panel and you can play around with it there. Now, the properties panel is really not the place that you're going to be loading or managing presets. This is where you can change some things in here, but you want to get these panels open. Now, what I did is I essentially went under Window and I grabbed all these panels, shapes, patterns, all of these, and opened them all up and just positioned them on my screen, and then went under here and then chose New Workspace, and I called this Presets. So now if I ever want to have access to all my presets, all I need to do is go under that workspace and it opens them up, and here's everything. Shapes, swatches, that's our color, styles, gradients, patterns, actions, brushes, and the tool presets are all open in the window. Now I don't work this way, obviously. It would be very difficult to get much done unless you're creating, 2 pixel images. But what it does is it creates a dashboard for me to manage all of these. Okay, so now that we've decided we want to do this, we can manage all of these simply. If I want to load actions, let's click on the edge here. And all of these have this little menu. They call it a hamburger menu. Not a very tasty hamburger. I definitely don't recommend doing it. But what you can do is you can go under load. And each one of these is called load actions. This will have load brushes, load gradients, etc., etc., etc. So I can go under here and I can load actions. And I want to find some actions. Well, there's some actions that I've created, or I have right there. And of course, I have actions included in the vault. So let me just grab my desktop and I'll show you, just because I may as well work with assets you guys have. There's the actions right there. Click on photoshopCAFE and then choose open. Leah, if my screen looks blurred, just hit refresh and that'll fix it. And you can see what happened there. That just loaded them in here into Photoshop. So, here's the actions. You can see there's the bonus actions here. I've shown you how to create a slide sandwich. I don't show you, actually. We'll create a slide sandwich, dodging and burning. We've got frequency separation, high pass layer sharpening, and pencil sketch. So these are like really cool things to do in Photoshop, and they take a lot of setting up, especially frequency separation and dodging and burning. Takes time to set those up. Well, it doesn't anymore. We just simply go in here and we can run these actions. Okay, so that's how we load in custom presets. Now there's another type of custom preset that you might want to load in, and that's Camera Raw or Lightroom. So these don't get loaded in through the regular menu. What you need to do is we need to go into Camera Raw. So we choose Filter, Camera Raw Filter. And, I'm going to convert that to a smart object because it's just looking at the layer. I'm not really worried about doing anything here, but what I can do is I can click on the edge here and I can choose to load or save settings, but we can also go under our presets here. We can click under that little thing and we can manage presets. So if we click on manage presets, well, not manage presets, hang on, let's do this load. Go down to the little 3 ellipses and then choose load settings. And then we can go in here and we can load them in. Now you can load in individual. You can save them out when you create them. They can be XMP files, or you can get them as XMP files, or you can do a zip file. So here's some that I've created, but let me go once again to the new ones here that I created in the vault so you guys can see them. We've got Photoshop and Lightroom. We've got Lightroom Camera Raw presets. So those can be loaded in that way, or we can go under our profile. Now the reason that was grayed out is because I already loaded these in. And we can see there's a profiles I gave you guys. So these probably won't load either because they're probably already loaded in. But let me just select one here. Let's do the underworld and choose load. Okay, so what that does is it loads these in to the presets panel. Let me go back under here. Now, if you want to see the profiles, we're going to work on the image here, and we just click there, and that's going to load up the profiles. And if we go under here, there they are. There's the Underworld Deep, and these are the set that I'm giving you guys. So you can see those are now loaded in. If you have trouble loading the presets into Camera Raw here, just unzip the file. But also what you can do is you can load these into Lightroom. Now, if you load these into Lightroom, as far as your presets and your profiles, they're going to automatically appear here inside of Camera Raw. Let me go under the presets. These are the presets I created right there. And if you load them in here, they will be in Lightroom. If you load them into Lightroom, they'll be here. So you don't have to load them into both places. All right. So that's essentially how you load them. Now, I'm going to show you how to get more extras because I get asked this a lot. Some people say, hey, you know what? My settings are not the same. I don't have all these presets. I don't have all these things. Now, why do you have so many brushes or gradients, for example, or styles? Because one of the gradient sets that's just really great is under here, and it is the photographic toning ones. These have been in Photoshop forever, but you just haven't seen them before because they're hidden like a lot of the extras. Now, all of these panels, if you click on the little hamburger menu and you go down, and then you'll see the option to choose legacy. In this case, it's legacy gradients, legacy patterns. So all of them have them. Now you can't go in here. This is where people get stuck as they try to do it through the properties panel. So you're in here. You're working with. Let's create a gradient, for example. I'm just going to go in here, apply gradient style, and then you click on the gradient style, and you're like, well, I don't see it here. You can't do it from the properties panel. Properties panel is a context-sensitive menu that changes to whatever tool you're using. What you want to do is create this dashboard like I did by opening all the panels and then saving that as a workspace. And then we can go in here, and then you'll see legacy shapes. I don't even know if they have legacy. Yep, legacy swatches, styles, all of them. So since Photoshop 2020 and Photoshop 2021, when they started changing these, you would have seen a whole bunch of new presets, but all the old ones are gone. Now, I don't miss things like, the texture, the bubble texture. You've all seen that, right? The bubble texture is like, it's useful for absolutely nothing. I don't know if anybody's ever used it. Looks like I don't have it there. Why don't I load it in? And let's choose legacy patterns and more. And here we go. And if we go under here, here's our 2019 legacies and the legacy patterns. The defaults. This is what we used to have. They're all in here. Of course, they're in different folders now. So if you want to open these all at once, hit the Control or Command key and click. And that pops open. These are new ones they gave us. And then we've got, all of these. Let's pop them all open. And these are the ones that you guys are familiar with. There's our bubble wrap or what. I don't know really what they were thinking. Like, who's ever used this? Let me double click it so we can apply this. Why don't we just put it in here? Because it's just to show you guys. I mean, not to make fun of it. I mean, we all love it. It's classic. This is a, classic, Photoshop feature, Actually, I've got it set as there. Let me just, wow. There it is. Look at that. Let me show hide all other layers. And there it is. See that bubbles? Let me just pull that out of the way. There it is. It's been in Photoshop since forever. I'm sure somebody thought it was useful. I'm really picking on that now. But essentially, that's how you load in all of these. Some of these have been in Photoshop for years, and people are not even aware of them. These web patterns, I believe, are ones I created myself. So that's how you can access different ones. Okay, so let's go at the next thing. The next question is going to be, okay, so Russ says he just got the email about 5 minutes ago. Okay, good to know, guys. So for those of you then who are just joining us, we're talking about presets inside of Photoshop. Let me just reset everything for you who just joined us because some of you got that email late. Don't worry, guys. This is recorded, so all of this will be available when we're finished with this session. Within 5-10 minutes, YouTube will put this up as a replay. So just to recap, number one, we are celebrating 21 years of photoshopCAFE. Yay. Yay. I mean, it's exciting. 21 years we've been doing this. Just when I say something for the second time, I sometimes get into that kind of a mode. I barked like a dog. That's great. So also, we are celebrating 50 million visitors to photoshopCAFE as well. That's 50 million. That's not page views. That's actual visitors to the website. So, thank you guys for that. Thank you for an incredible 21 years. And do me a favor too, guys. Happy birthday to us. Oh, thanks. I'll sing it with you, Bruce. And do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button. Let's get this some likes up here if you guys are enjoying this. It helps us with the algorithm. And everyone's like, cheers. It's a bit early in the morning for beer, so I'm going to have a nice tea. Bit of advice, when you get tea, I like herbal tea and what's it called? The Digestive Awakening. Yeah, when you try the Digestive Awakening, make sure you're not too far away from a bathroom. Anyway, smash that like button, and if you haven't yet subscribed, hit it. Okay, guys, so what we've done so far is we've talked about presets, we've talked about the vault, and please drop that link there once more, Bruce. The vault is a place where I'm giving you guys a whole ton of presets that's going to get you started in a lot of this. We talked about how to load these presets, and this is for people that just joined us, and that'll be there on the replay, and also how to find the legacy ones. Now we're going to talk about how to save the presets, how to back them up, and we're also going to talk about how to use some of them as well as syncing presets. So let's just pick us up from where we are. I think Bruce just heard the joke about the digestive awakening, which unfortunately is not a joke. It's actually true. All right. So, all right. So here's the thing. I always get messages from people saying, I lost my actions. Can you help me? And I'm like, did you back them up? And they're like, no. And I can't help them. If you did not back up your actions, they're going to be gone, because you can double click to load actions into Photoshop. So here's what I want to tell you, want you guys to do. You're welcome, Kev, for the vault. And if you guys have downloaded that vault, do me a huge favor and go into Dropbox, your Creative Cloud, not through Photoshop. Just open up your Creative Cloud or Microsoft or Google or whatever it is, Google Docs or whatever it is you're using, Google Drive, whatever it is you're using for your cloud storage. If you have a cloud storage solution, and create a folder in there, call it Photoshop Presets. Create, a little folder for brushes, actions, whatever you want to do. Drop the Photoshop Vault in there. Drop in every action that you've downloaded, every brush that you've downloaded, everything that you've ever loaded into Photoshop that you have not put in, that you have not backed up. Put that into that folder. Write it down right now so you don't forget. And then from now on, when you find presets or you create your own, you create actions, you create patterns, whatever it is, always make a copy of those separate from everything else in that cloud backup. If you don't have a cloud backup, create a folder on your hard drive, and then also put a thumb drive in and back that thing up. Every time you add something to it, copy it to that thumb drive. You need a copy of this that does not live on your computer. Because when your computer goes down, not if, and any of you guys have been using computers for a few years, you will know, I don't know how many computers and hard drives I've had failed over the years. It's going to happen. Hard drives don't last forever. So make sure that you have that backed up. I mean, even, anything you want, you should be running. I'm not going to get into the whole backup thing, but just back up your presets, your brushes. These things are valuable. These things, like you can create, your style can be based on these things. And I know I'm harping on it, and I'm doing it on purpose, like a nagging, I don't know, like a nagging stone in your shoe. If I'm that way and it makes you back these up, fine, because this is going to save your life, your digital life. All right. So once you've created that folder and you've got all your assets on there, and don't be hitting me up a week from now saying, hey, I lost the vault things. Can you please give me another link? Yes, I will, but back them up, guys. All right. So once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to create a backup of all the stuff that you have here inside of Photoshop. Once again, create this panel, and I showed you guys earlier, if you missed that, I showed you guys how to create this dashboard. It'll be on the replay. All right, so actions. Let's start with the actions, because the actions are not included in any of Adobe's syncing solutions. None of them work with actions, just to let you guys know that. Migrate, all that stuff. So what you want to do, migrate from an older version might work, but the syncing, and we'll talk about that soon, does not. So you've got actions. Look at all these sets of actions I have, and oh boy, yes, I can do these without the actions. But then I have utility stuff, which is just stuff that I do, watermarks, crop marks, expanding, by pixels, resizing, these are finding centers, just things that I do all the time that I don't want to be wasting a lot of time doing, like arrows. I've got, overlays. Stroke, I've got the stroke, for example. Why would I have that? Well, if I'm creating a tutorial and I want to outline something, I can create a marquee selection, click on there, boom, it's done. Now, I could redo all these, but I don't want to. So what you want to do is click on the preset group or your action group. Notice I've got a whole bunch. I mean, I could put them in a super group, but I don't. And I'm going to click on the edge here, and then you want to choose to save actions. And right now the vault is the last place I was working, so you might go there. Or you might have a place on your Dropbox. I do, but I'm not going to go in there just for security reasons, because you'll see all the folders I have in Dropbox, and I just don't want to put that up publicly. But I have a folder called Photoshop, and in that folder, brushes, actions, whatever, and then I would take this and I would put it in the actions, and then I would hit save. Same thing with the brushes. And I do this once I've loaded everything up, because if you look in here, I've got the cloud brushes, but then I've got Colin Custom. And in here, I've got a lot of brushes. Some of these I downloaded. Some of these are downloaded brushes. I didn't create all of these. But these are brushes I use. Joel Santana, I got a class from him. I found it was useful. The Kyle brushes, which of course you guys probably have through Photoshop. All kinds of, splash and grunge. These are things I use for creating different effects. The shapes, clouds and smoke, there's some of mine. There's some of the shapes. And essentially I've got all the brushes that I want to use loaded into Photoshop. I set it up, I put them into groups, I get them exactly how I want them. There's the general brushes, and then I also load in these legacy ones because I want these in here. Now, I'm working in the brushes panel right now. This would be the same for gradients or shapes, swatches, interchangeable to whatever panel you guys are working in, to patterns, same thing. Get it set up how you like it. Then grab the little hamburger menu, and then you're going to choose to save these. So we're going to choose the, hang on, let me get this right. Let's go under there. Thank you. And then we just want to save these. Where are we? I guess it's export selected brushes. So I've selected all of those, and then we're going to choose that little brush. There we go. And that's going to, now I'm in my brushes panel. So this one is actually going to directly to the Photoshop folder, which, there's all the brushes I've got loaded into Photoshop. That's not where I'm going to put them. I'm going to save those to my Dropbox folder. I'm going to save those to that special place where I keep everything, because these are already loaded into Photoshop. Now you could go into Photoshop and load more if you want, but don't save them here inside of Photoshop as your backup, because if Photoshop goes down, you guys are going to be in trouble. Right, so just to let you guys know that. All right, so you're going to do that for everything. Now there's another thing. What about when you want to bring things into, there should be export. Some of them have export. Some of them, they're kind of weird. Some of them have save. As you go here, we get the save actions. Some of these are, and that's why I got a little bit confused, some of those are export. So the actions are save, and I believe a lot of them are export, and if it's not export, it's save. So it's not consistent. Adobe's got a little bit of work to do here with unifying all these presets, and I know they've been working on it, and that panel, these individual panels are definitely part of it. Hopefully they're going to go back to our preset manager and put all of these in one place again when they've finished doing this. But that's kind of, Adobe's working on these. They have been for a while, and that's why incrementally things are getting better. Hopefully everything will be perfect at one point in time. All right, so that's how we back those up. Now, there's another thing, and I think we touched on this before, is how do we get these presets, into Photoshop, right? We talked about importing them and bringing them in and getting them inside these panels, but there's some other ones that might not appear in there. A good example of that would be, let me go here. Let me just open up Photoshop, and I'm going to show you. Hang on, and this will be the easy way to do it. Okay, so I'm opening up my Finder. We're going to go into our Photoshop settings. So in the Mac, I'm going to go down to applications. Now on Windows, you'll find an applications folder as well. So what I'm showing you right now is something even different. And this is why I showed you this, guys, for LUTs last week, how to get them so they appear in the menu. So most of the things are going to appear in the menu once you import them, but lots won't. And this is how you can quickly manage these. Go under Photoshop, and you'll find this in any Windows or Mac. And then under presets, you'll see they're all here. So this is another way to do it. So if you choose 3D LUTs, you can drop your LUTs in here, and then they'll appear in the LUT menu. But also, if you want to speed things up, you can drag your brush sets in here. And everything you see here have presets. Even things like levels and curves, there are presets, duotones. You can drag all of them in here. Now, brushes, you'll see your brushes will be in here. You can drag those in and they'll appear in Photoshop. You could use this as a backup as well, but it could get a little bit messy. So I would just do it manually as I showed you. But as far as loading stuff in, yeah, just drag everything into these folders, and then they're also going to be in Photoshop. So that's another way of just kind of getting those things in here. All right. Whew. So we're getting through this, guys. All right, so let's have a look at how do we sync these, or how do we do things. Okay, so there's other things we can do with this, and if you just joined us, guys, we're looking at presets, and the replay will be live right after this. So I showed you guys how to import your presets into Photoshop. I showed you how to export them. I showed you how to create this control panel. I showed you how to find the extras in there. And now I'm going to show you about some syncing solutions. Now, before you even consider syncing anything, make sure you do the backup. I'm going to keep saying that. All right, so now we can go under the File menu, and we can go into Photoshop here. And you're going to see, did I say the File menu? I meant the Edit menu. We're going to go under Presets. Now, under Presets, we've got three things here. We've got Preset Manager. And that preset manager is it's a good place for managing your contours and your tool presets. That's all that's left in there. We already looked at that. So what does Migrate Presets do? So I'm clicking on Migrate Presets, and right now it's saying, yep, there was no presets to migrate from older versions. So what this does is, if you install a new version of Photoshop, maybe you upgraded your CC, or maybe you just got CC and you've already got Photoshop CS6 on your machine, or CS5, or an earlier version. When you install the updates, and the updates are inside the Creative Cloud Manager here, what you want to do is just make sure that you choose Updates, and then you're going to choose the ellipses here, and then you're going to check for updates. What that will do is it will go up to the cloud, and it will look for the very latest updates. There's an update for Lightroom. There shouldn't be one for Photoshop because I already installed that. But then when you choose to upgrade and it's a full version, it's going to give you the option to keep your current version or delete it and replace it. You always want to keep your current version. And the reason you want to keep your current version is for this. When we choose Edit, and then we go down to our presets and we choose Migrate Presets, it looks for an older version of Photoshop on your machine. And then what it does is it takes the presets and it copies them over and installs them onto the newest version. So this can save you a lot of that manual labor of installing everything yourself. So always do that. Don't get rid of your old version of Photoshop until you're sure you don't need it. Like right now, I've got Photoshop 2021 running. But over here, I have Photoshop 2020. And look, I can run them both. And so I'm launching Photoshop 2020. And so if you have problems with maybe I hear things like certain actions might not work, or the big one is plugins. My plugins don't work, or extensions or things like that. Keep the old version. Why do I have this here? Because under the Automate menu, I have Image Processor Pro. I haven't got Image Processor Pro working on Photoshop 2021 yet. So I have a particular workflow, which I use this for. And this workflow is when I'm creating tutorials. I do all my screenshots, and then I want to convert them all And image processor does a lot of what it does, but it doesn't have a checkbox that says don't enlarge. If they would put that in there, I would use it and I wouldn't need Processor Pro anymore. But because of that, I have Processor Pro and I can run it in Photoshop 2020. Now the other thing is, if you find there's a bug in the newest version and you've got work that you need to do, you can go back to the old version and use that old version for those features that are not working, like export video. All right, so, that is the thing. So always do that. And then when you go under the edit, and I'm going to say it one more time, presets, migrate presets, this will look for presets that are on your system on an earlier version of Photoshop, and it will migrate those presets into your newest version and save you a whole bunch of time. Thank you, Robert, for the 21. Happy 21. All right, so now there's syncing. There's automatic syncing, and there's manual syncing. So this is syncing presets with other machines. What do we do about that? Because most of us are not a single system user anymore, right? We are using multiple systems. I know I've got Mac here. I've got a Mac laptop. I have a Windows machine as well. Lots of us have more than one machine. It's kind of, maybe a laptop, desktop, a couple of desktops. That's how we all work now. All right, so let's look at that. So there's a manual and there's an automatic. So let's go into presets. Let's look under export, import presets. All right, so here we are. Import presets is nothing, but if we choose export presets, whoa, look at this. All my presets, or most of them, are here. There's all my brushes. Wow, I've actually got a lot of brush sets there. Look here, brushes, curves. That's a curve I saved. You can save all of those. A lot of things that when you're working in Photoshop, there's an option to save preset. If there's something you're going to use more than once, save it as a preset. There's some old classic Action Effects patterns. I've got scripts here that I'm using. We've got styles, layer styles, workspaces. There's my preset workspace that we just talked about. So if I wanted to just back this up, or I wanted to use this on another machine, under export presets, I'm going to click on it and then hit the little arrow and it puts it over here. And, that's it. If you want to add everything, choose add all. And this is all our presets. Notice actions are not in there. Well, actually they are. Actions are in there now. Okay, these change, chop and change. Once again, make sure you do a backup because I don't necessarily trust this. This is a good system. Same with migrate presets. These are all good things, but don't ever trust these as your only way of doing things. Okay, so then when I've done that, I choose export presets. And then what this does is I can choose an export folder. Now, this does not replace your manual work. Do your manual work and then maybe create a folder within there of exported presets. And I'll drop this on my desktop. This what you would put into your cloud, though, so you can access it from other machines. So put it on Dropbox or whatever, wherever you want to put it. And I'm just going to call this one migrate, export. EP, export presets, because I'm just going to delete this later. Create it, choose open, boom. Now it's exporting all those presets and they're gone. Now, if you have those, they're not gone from my machine. They're just in the cloud now. I put them on my desktop, but you would put them in the cloud. Now you go to your other machine and then you would do this. You choose edit. Then we go presets, import, export presets. And I'm like, I want to import presets, but there's none there. Well, we got to choose an import folder, which would be the one I just created. And there they are. Now for you, these presets would be, in Dropbox, Creative Cloud, wherever you put them. And then at this point here, if you just wanted the desktop, or the preset desktop, you would select it. Or what about my TikTok one? That's for a vertical monitor. I just click here and I can add it. I could grab my TikTok one as well. And by the way, I'm on TikTok at photoshopCAFE. I do quick little Photoshop tutorials on there and tips. I can do that and I can choose individual ones and I can import just the ones I want into my machine. Or of course I can choose add all and then import presets, which I'm not going to do because they're already on my machine. And that's how you can sync presets between different machines. Now, I hope you find this useful, because these are kind of things I don't see a lot of people teaching this, because it's not sexy, you know, it's not the most exciting topic. If I was doing, hey, how to cut out hair, we would have double the amount of attendees right now. Also, if the email notifications went out properly. And by the way, guys, if you do want to get the email notifications for our Live from Lockdown, for the live streams, go to photoshopcafe.com, and then what you want to do is you want to click on the, let me just show you how to do this, and then I'm going to show you how to automatically sync all your presets right after this. But I just want to show you guys this quickly, just to kind of help out. So we're going to choose Photoshop Cafe, and we're opening that up. Come on, load up, load up. And no, that nymph foundation was not what you guys think it is. It's someone was doing some NTFs with digital art, which is something we're going to talk about sometime if you guys are interested in that. NFTs. Okay, so if you go to photoshopcafe.com, the homepage, go down to newest tutorials and click on Live from Lockdown 36. Or you can just go into free tutorials, live streams, go to the first one on there, and you'll see this form. Just click in there, put your email address in there, and this is for Live from Lockdown. So we do these live streams, guys. If you want to be informed about them, please put your email in here, because YouTube does not send out emails anymore to notify people for the live streams. We have a big mailing list. I don't want to be sending the live streams to the whole list all the time. Part of the reason is it takes a long time for people to get it. So a lot of people saying they didn't get the email for today. And a lot of that is because it's a big list, and it takes a while for that to go out. So I'm trying to create a separate list or a separate segment for that. So if you guys enter that, and you will get that. Did anyone get the notification? Let me know. But this is what we're trying to solve. So in the next week or two, I'm going to stop sending out the notifications to the main list, and I'm only going to be sending it to people that are on here. So if you want to know about the live streams and you haven't yet done it, like literally sign up there right now, guys, because I don't want you to miss out, because I won't be sending out the notifications to the whole list in the future. All right, so before we get into that last bit that we're going to do with the automatic syncing, I do want to ask you guys, if you're liking this, do me a favor, hit that like button. And what it does is it helps us with the algorithm. It helps push us up on YouTube. And I can see that we have only 109 likes so far, and we have almost 200 people on. So there we go. Those are going up. Great. All right, guys. So it looks like a couple of people, Shelley Wood, Laurie received the notifications. Exactly. Like Bruce is saying, the big list means that the batch sends, and that means that, you know, when I send it to 100,000 people, which is what we have in our list, MailChimp doesn't send 100,000 emails. It sends, you know, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, then the next 5,000, 10,000, and it can take a while for that to get out there. Whereas if we put everybody on one little list, then I can send the email, and boom, it goes out right away, and then you guys are going to know sooner when these live streams are going. Because the problem is, if I do them too early, people are like, oh, okay, the live stream's in an hour. Yeah, I'll remember that. And then get busy, you know, weeding the garden or making lunch or fall asleep or, you know, do something else. And then you're like, oh, no, I missed it. Very, very easy to do that. But whereas we're like, hey, guys, we're starting now. And usually I send that out 15 minutes before, which allows a little bit of time to get through. Usually, you know, if we've got that dedicated list, that'll get there in time. Anyway, all right, so let's continue, guys, and we're going to look at under the file here, we are going to look at automatic syncing. Okay, now this one here is the newest feature that Adobe has put in here inside of Photoshop 2021. This was dropped late last year. Now, I am going to stress all kinds of caution before you guys do this. Do not, and you know, I know I've said it, do not, absolutely do not attempt to do this until you have everything backed up. Don't back up, you know, Photoshop, but I mean all your styles, actions, brushes, shapes, the whole deal. Back them up before you even think of doing this, because I had a disaster and I struggled. And and I've been using Photoshop for a while now, and I had trouble. So I know people, if they get into the mess I got in, don't even email me. I don't even know how to fix it. It's just, back everything up. That's my answer. Back it up now. Don't ask me to fix it later. If you didn't back it up now, it's on you. There, I said it. Okay. All right. So what we can do here is we can go under Photoshop, and then under Preferences, we can choose General. And under the General Settings, we have an option here that says Preset Syncing. Notice I've got it on. Yes, it's working now, but I had some pain. And I did some stupid things, and I'll tell you the stupid things I did so you guys don't do them. Preset Syncing is off by default. If you go here and you turn on Preset Syncing, what this will do is it will create a duplicate of all your presets and install it, at least this is what happened to me, into your Photoshop. I don't know if it's supposed to do that. Maybe for you it won't, maybe it will, but that's what it did. It created a new set, and that's the synced set. Now, I went in here and I was like, well, I've got copies of these. I got 2 of these. So I went and deleted all the extras. Yeah, that's what you would think. Oh, there's extras in here, let me get rid of them. Well, I probably should have got rid of the originals and not the synced versions. Because I can get rid of the originals because I haven't backed up. It doesn't matter. This is what I should have done. All right, or just left them. Best thing is to just leave them alone. But essentially, that's what happens when you turn that on. It sends all your stuff up to the cloud. Now, it takes a while. Now, when you go to your second computer and you turn on that option, what it does is it brings in that shared set. And now you have those synced between your computers. And as you go forward, whenever you create a new preset, that should automatically sync with your other machines, and everything should be there going forward. I think in the future, this is going to be wonderful when all the bugs are ironed out a bit. Now, here's where you can really trip up on this. I know I should be touting this as the greatest feature, and it is. Now, if you turn off preset syncing, and then you click OK, you get this option. This is really important. With preset syncing turned off, I know I'm being dramatic, but trust me, I had that for a reason. With preset syncing turned off, your presets won't save to the cloud. Okay, yeah, it's good, just like normal, but will continue to save locally. Oh, yay. Would you like to keep the presets currently saved to your Creative Cloud account? And you're thinking, nah, I don't want to. I did this and it wiped out all the presets on my system. Like, not just here, but on all my machines. Well, why did it do that? Because silly me, I deleted the presets, the duplicates. Because I thought, I don't want duplicates of everything in there. And by doing that, boom, it wiped out my whole system. So don't do that. And even if you decide you don't want to sync anymore, would you like to keep them? Click yes. Yes, you do want to keep them. Don't, because it will clear them out of the cloud, but it's also, if those are synced here and it's the only copy you have, and your other machine, it's using those as its presets, they're all going to be going on the other machine too. So when you take it out of the cloud, it takes it off all the machines. You don't want to do that. Okay, so I've learned from my mistakes. So I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to keep the preset syncing turned on now that, everything's sort of back to normal. So, all right, guys. So I hope that helped you a little bit. Once again, if I was to do a tutorial on cutting out hair, I would be a lot more people on here. But this is super important stuff that's not sexy, that I don't know if I've ever seen anyone else really go this in depth in this. So hopefully this is helping you guys. And, if you've got some questions, I'm going to look at some questions here, and I'm going to take those. And once again, if you want those, the vault, go to the vault. If you just joined us and you guys are not familiar with that, there's a link there, and you can download. I've got a whole bunch of free stuff for you guys, all actions and presets, profiles, all that fun stuff. It's all there. just kind of make sure that, download that and enjoy it, guys. All right, so what have we got here? I don't see the preset syncing option in my preferences menu. Sam, you might not have updated to the latest version. If you don't see that, make sure you update. It's the very latest version of Photoshop. Ruby says, this is sexy. Glenn, I like how my presets in Lightroom sync to the cloud. They automatically apply to my iPad version of Lightroom. Yes, they do. And the nice thing about that too, Glenn, is those should also automatically sync with Camera Raw and Lightroom Classic, I believe. If they don't, load them into Lightroom Classic and they will sync with Camera Raw. So the Lightroom and Camera Raw, by the way, are, they're siblings. So all the adjustments and everything that are in Camera Raw are the same ones in Lightroom. That's why you'll notice that the updates happen at the same time. Now, they're working on a different syncing system. So that's why, when you see all of these, they're not including your Camera Raw settings. Those are syncing on their own system, which, frankly, I think is working better than some of the Photoshop stuff right now. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I'm just going to be honest. That's my honest opinion. And it's just an opinion, but they seem to sync a little bit more seamlessly. All right, so let's see what else we've got here. So Shelly's going to be backing up her presets today. Thank you. Very interesting indeed. I didn't know that preset sync. Regards from Uruguay. Regards. Thank you for a beautiful preset syncing tip. Oh, you're welcome. I'll be syncing my stuff soon after organizing's first attempt at organizing presets, etc. with Lightroom. Yes, and once again, guys, I'm going to say it. Back everything up before you do anything. Back it up. Because I know I've had brushes in the past that I've lost, and and I have no idea where I got them from. And there's a couple I miss. There was this amazing grunge brush I loved, and it's gone. It's gone forever. Actions, all these things. If you lose them and you haven't backed them up, they're gone. And these kind of and you're welcome, Alan. Alan says good things in the vault. Ken says, great, useful stuff. Now the hard part is actually doing those things. Well, you can watch the replay. It's going to be there. What I'm going to do, guys, is because I've got a bail at the end of this, and we're going to pack that thing up. That's what Bruce said. Because we're going to be doing the Adobe live stream, we're not going to have an afterglow this week. We're just going to keep this brief. In fact, we're not going to do a Fix My Photo this week either. Sorry, guys. But next week we definitely will. We'll be back at 1 p.m. back to our normal time next week, and we're going to do, looks like Stuart Braithwaite got his email at the right time, in 15 minutes before. Awesome, good to know. So we're going to do our regular scheduled program next week. We'll have our afterglow afterwards. We're going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific time. I know some of you were able to join us this week that couldn't join us normally, and if this is your first time you're able to join us live, let us know in the comments. And I'm glad, maybe this time kind of helped us a little bit, the time change. And because I do see some new names in here. Sports School, Hivasam, Burning Heart, thank you, and congratulations, 1 year. Thank you. And so this is pretty much close to 1 year of live streaming as well, I believe. That was an interesting question here. I'm just thinking about when did we start this. Let me go into our YouTube, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly when we started Live from Lockdown. So let's do videos. Let's go. I'm scrolling inside of YouTube. I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm just scrolling through the videos in YouTube. 1 year ago, Live from Lockdown. That was 11 months ago. Was that our first one? That might have been our first one. So here's a few of our Live from Lockdowns there. Was that even called? Here we go, Live from Lockdown. Smart Objects, Camera Raw, Live from Lockdown, Instant Photoshop, Photo Effects. That might have been our first one right there. 11 months ago. And that was published on April the 2nd, 2020. So, and look, Russ was the first comment. I don't think Russ has missed a single one. So there we go. So that was our first one, was April the 2nd. Maybe. Next week, I'll let you guys know for sure. and we can celebrate our 1 year of lockdown together. Or have 1 year of life from lockdown. If anyone doesn't have a Dropbox type service, you can always email yourself with the presets. Well, there's a good idea there from Jim. Great tip. Yeah, guys. So, I'm not really going to go on a lot about this. I think, any questions or anything, I'm not even going to go any further than this. I think we've covered a lot of content, and I really want you guys to be able to focus on this content without muddying it up with other stuff. By the way, if you're new here and this is your first time, welcome. And you haven't yet hit the subscribe button, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. So at least when you're in YouTube, you'll get the little red mark. We'll show you when we're live, and also it will let you know when we upload new tutorials, because every Tuesday I do a new tutorial. This week, the tutorial was a little bit different. This week's was all about the vault and some of the stuff from the cafe. So I don't know if you guys saw this. This is the channel here. So yesterday I uploaded this from the Photoshop vault, and I just want to go through just a little bit of this, if you guys don't mind. Just because this is the original photoshopCAFE. I actually had one more, an earlier version in this, but the Wayback Machine didn't have it. And this is, that I built, and I built this in Dreamweaver way back in the day. Sponsors wanted, and as of today, I don't know. We're sponsored by nobody. Occasionally I do a sponsored video. Not even too worried about this, but this was our first year or two. We started in the year 2000, which is 21 years ago, and we got to 400,000 visitors in our first year, and this is what photoshopCAFE looked like. How many of you guys remember this? Any of you guys remember? Oh, it looks like this is 2002 posting here, but it doesn't matter. This is what it looked like in 2000. So, I grabbed one screenshot from Wayback Machine, but in 2000, it looked like this. And then we go forward. Then we... Did I go too far? But this is all, check it out. Check out the video because it's kind of fun. 2005. There we are, guys. This is what photoshopCAFE looked like. Once again, I designed all this in Photoshop and put it in Dreamweaver. And in 2005, we got to 3.5 million visitors. And I guess I'd won the Guru Award for this. We were just starting to do some different things. We were doing contests, things like that. A little bit of cafe nostalgia now, guys. Then we went into 2011. I redesigned it again. Everyone thought we were on a content management system, but we weren't. We were still in Dreamweaver. And I just made it look like it was a back end. I didn't know anything about databases. But, we got to 30 million visitors. Just basically me doing this. Running the website, designing it, and just throwing it up on the web. And then we discovered WordPress in 2017. We got to 40.5 million visitors, and as of today, the site looks something like, let me hit the play button so we can get there. As of today, the site looks something like this. The header's not there right now. We're making some changes on it, but we passed 50 million visitors. That's not page views. We've had hundreds of millions of page views, but actual visitors to photoshopCAFE, and we've been doing these tutorials for many years. So anyway, guys, just watch this. There's some fun nostalgia here. We kind of talk about that. We talk about, some of the, the trade shows. There's Bruce. There's me when I was a little bit younger. We did some trade show stuff. Didn't really talk about that too much. But then the design challenges we did. And these were some of the things that you guys submitted. We used to do an annual design challenge. This is all the work you guys did. So even though, this is about the vault, it tells us a little bit about the cafe. And I just encourage you guys to watch it. It's just kind of some fun nostalgia and a little bit about the cafe. So anyway, guys, didn't mean to go on about that, but what I did want to say is thank you. Thank you to you guys. The reason we're doing the vault and we're celebrating 21 years is because of you. You're the cafe crew. Some of you are from YouTube. Some of you are from photoshopCAFE. But, I just want to say that photoshopCAFE is not a website. It's not a YouTube channel. It's the community. It's you guys. And this is what we've always been about since the very beginning. When I started in the year 2000, there wasn't that many, but there was a few other Photoshop tutorial sites, and we became friends with most of the other people. And now all of those people have moved on to do other things, or they've put everything behind a paywall, so they charge for the content. And I'd probably say they're all richer than me in money, but I think I'm richer in the area of community, having you guys and, lifelong friends in the industry. And so, I'm still, that independent guy, still, for better or worse, we're still 100% independent. And, let's keep going, guys. So I want to thank you for joining us. Next week, we're going to be back for Live from Lockdown. And so if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, become part of the Cafe crew. You get a new tutorial from me every single week. If you like this, smash the like button into dust. And until next time, I'll see you. Thanks, guys, at the Cafe. 1 p.m. Pacific time next week. Next Thursday.